Uh, Tanu, it's live.
Okay, all right. It's live now.
Little problem. Okay, Sandhya, you can send a Zoom link also. So if someone wants to join via Zoom, they can join.
Sandhya, you can send the Zoom link
Yes.
to everyone.
Yes.
They can also join
Yes.
via Zoom if they want to.
Like everything is lights up. Okay, if you have the form of the game, it's and then add on. Your face not. I mean, he'll be speaking. I'll just introduce and go away.
I'll stand there and speak. That's fine.
Where is standing? It's like shadow. There's a shadow there. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's okay. Let's start. Yeah. That's fine.
This is okay, right? I can stand here.
Are you going live?
She has already gone live.
You're live on YouTube now?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, she said yes.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. Hi everyone. I mean, apologies for the delay. Yeah, apologies for the delay. We're doing a hybrid event and probably, part of the startup drill, right? To iterate and get your act right. So we were prepared for the software part, but looks like, connecting with the hardware here was a little problematic. But I'm sure all of you have similar experiences with your own tech team. And that's why we have Mr. Anand here to help you troubleshoot all those challenges. Mr. Hariharan Anand is an engineer, is a mathematician by training, went on to become an engineer, worked for Ashok Leyland to, begin his career at a time when he had to use a computer for 6 hours a day.
2 hours a day.
2 hours a day in shifts because the computer was not available. So he comes from that era of, software development where, even a machine was not very available. And from the year 2018, he's like, I've spent enough of my time in the industry. Now is my time to give back to the society. And he's largely been consulting for startups. He joined Deep Thought as a mentor last year in September. And he's helped us build our technology with largely beginners alone, whom the industry usually calls interns. So we had a few beginners in Deep Thought. And one of the beginners, Shawan Mandal, today is Assistant Vice President Technology at Deep Thought, right? So 1 year of internship directly AVP. And another intern, Shagun. So Sandhya, I hope Shagun and Shawan are joining us shortly. So another intern, Shagun, who joined us this year in April, recently was promoted to Assistant Vice President Data Engineering. So the credit goes to Mr. Anand in terms of, initially when we were writing the code, he said, let's not write from the scratch. Let's use an open source code base. And about 2 weeks, he just took time to understand which code base suits us best. He spent time with me. He tried to understand what is the vision of the technology we're trying to create. Then he's like, hey, your thing looks like a publishing platform. This code base is meant for publishing platforms. 2 weeks he spent only into understanding the publishing platform and checking whether interns could modify that platform or not. So that's where he saved half the straight away about 20,000 lines of code eliminated because he said, let's build this on top of this code base. Then I asked him, Mr. Anand, do you think interns will be good enough or do you want me to hire some developers with some coding experience prior? At least somebody with 6 months internship experience. He was like, no, interns should be fine. And we started working with interns. We launched our first MVP. That was the most painful part. So from September, we took time till February to launch our first MVP. Then we went up to 15 quote unquote interns. Then by July, we went up to 25. Now we are somewhere around 32 and going close to 40. We do not have these quote unquote senior developers. It's just 2 of our homegrown interns who are like senior developers. So Sounds like a too good to be true story, right? So how can you build this story for yourself? How can you do this in your startup is precisely what this event is about. So the format is we'll listen to Mr. Anand for about 10 minutes where he can share his journey with various startups so far. And after that, we'll move into a Q&A where all of you can ask your questions, and it'll largely be an interactive session. But I hope I've set the agenda for all of you that, you know, your pockets, it'll be lighter on it, yet your ambition can be set quite high. You hire beginners, show them a dream. You have a big dream as a startup. You are not Amazon, Google already. That person is also not an Amazon, Google already. Both of you as beginners can travel together and can see a bigger dream. How? You can ask him today.
Thanks, Tarun, for the introduction, and thank you all of you guys, joining this meet today. Tarun said, I think too high of things, but I don't think in my mind it's not an easy journey. Okay, startup with trying to do with interns is not an easy journey. I think it's like meaning you are traveling on a road with potholes. Okay, so there is no change. Still, it's a road with potholes, right? Who will become the shock observers, right? So you have been thinking your tech guys will become the shock observers. That is where I am thinking you don't have to have a really solid top-notch tech guys to be the shock observers. So when you're always when one thing I have realized, right? Oftentimes when you talk about tech products, we get too much engrossed into the technology itself rather than the problem we are trying to solve. Right? Meaning we talk about technology stack, this, that, that's this tool, that tool, right? We talk a lot of those things, but not talking about the problem we are solving. Understanding the problem. Tarun spoke about, 2 weeks I sat with him to understand the vision, what he wants. He was able to articulate that vision. Okay. I think first and foremost thing is ability to what problem you're solving, how you are solving, and to a greater extent, you need to have your prospective customer's journey in mind. It's not that I'm not talking about greater documentation, sit and put some Figma or mockups and stuff, but you should have clarity in your mind. What is that you're going to give it differently, right? It's not about even difference, right? What is your customer journey? How they go through, right? What are the steps, right? I want them to know. So someone was talking about here that they want to make a ticket booking platform. Fine, okay. What is the journey, right? I want a 2-step journey, right? These are the 2 steps, right? Likewise, right? That clarity is extremely important because otherwise, what people do, right? You go to give an engineer, he will go look at 20 different things and they will make a hybrid of everything. That's the problem. You never allow your technology person to drive the product. In the sense, you can play multiple roles, but when you're a product manager, be a product manager, right? You play that role effectively, right? But you become technology and product when it comes together when you're in the early stages, right? What happens? Essentially, you start putting all these things together. Okay, I see this, I will use this tool. I see this, I will use this tool, right? There are too many tools, too many software starts coming too early. First thing is isolate, articulate your problem and solution space very effectively because this is the first thing shock observer you have to do, meaning whether it's a technology founder or, the person who is coming with the investor, whoever it is, right? Problem space and solution space has to be well defined. Okay. Lack of that technology, meaning it doesn't matter what kind of a technology person you get. You will still meaning you will always will have continued to have challenges. Okay. So problem number 1 is that. Okay. Problem 2 is that when you are building technology, first thing is when you have the solution space defined, technology in today's world, right? This technology stack, there are so many things that are available. I don't think any technology is inferior to other. Okay, though there are some technologies are have certain advantages over the other in a specific areas, but none of them is kind of inferior that you can't use it. Right? It's totally wrong choice. Okay, so there are two things one need to understand. What is your team's capability? Right? Somebody says, I will build it in like, okay, I'm building a mobile application. One says, I will build native, right? Another says, I will do Flutter. Another says like React Native. If you're actually building a consumer facing application, it just doesn't matter which one you use. You can still be successful. Unless you are actually building like, something more like, digital image processing, that kind of a stuff, you may want to talk something different, but otherwise any of this platform would still solve the problem for you. Okay, so what you need to be looking for is what is your capability, right? Where is your source coming from? Okay, one needs to stick to that, not taking too many things, because all these technologies can solve the same problem effectively within their own technology premise. No, people talk about now, okay, well, Spring Boot is better than Node.js. Yeah, I can also do a comparison and show 10 places Spring Boot is better. Okay, I can also go next day talk 20 places Node.js is better than Spring Boot. Okay, it's the end of the day, like how you compare, and you can put yourself in a advantageous position or a disadvantageous position. So none of this really doesn't matter so much. Okay, find open sources. Okay, if there are many GPL license open source are there, which we can straight away use. If you are building a CRM, there is a vTiger. You all might know vTiger is one of the many famous CRM platform. They have a platform which is available for SaaS, but they also have open source. You can take it and modify it, right, to the way you want it. Okay, but you may not make a product out of it, but if it is all your problem trying to do a CRM, right, you can use it, right? Similarly, there are so multitudes of platforms are available. You can use open sources. Okay, so what we did in Deep Thought, we picked up. Our thing was, what was understood is a conversational platform. We picked up like a open source called NodeBB. Okay, and everything is today centered around that. Okay, what is the biggest advantage it brings? People spent 3 months. Tarun said, right, 3 months they were working hard, trying to understand the platform. There are like nuances with the platform, right? People spend time, but what happened once they spend the time, once they get comfortable with it, from there the journey becomes much more smoother, right? So you basically go through the initial phase, of learning phase, right? Once from there it just goes on. The only match we did is, okay, ours is a conversational platform. Everything we are trying to do is like a lot more conversation oriented. Hence, this platform will solve our problem, right? So everything else, so what was the essence, right? Essence is that drill your problem down, your larger vision statement. In terms of implementation, now we have to break it into smaller parts and get it to a more atomic functionality you are offering. Okay, as in this case, it ended up being a conversation platform, right? If you go look at if you're talking like ticket booking, what is it, right? Meaning we have typically you have 3 components there, right? One is inventory, right? What is available, right? Other is how do I order the inventory, right? Third is getting the payment. These are the larger parts, right? If you can design these effectively and do this, pretty much you have your problem. The rest of them are all basically facade, right? You're building it around it. Okay, these are the core. If you can do this effectively, and and of course you need to get inventory through various sources and stuff, but fundamentally that's what we're talking. Okay, no platform. See, one thing, and if someone is basically there is a typical tendency in startups, you build it with one technology and then I say I'll move into another technology. This is a common problem. How meaning, at least in Hyderabad in the last 2 days, I have spoken to 5-6 founders. 2 of them are rebuilding their platform from built in one technology and rebuilding in another technology. It's a completely, in my mind, it doesn't solve any problem from a business standpoint. If I am a consumer, what difference it makes whether it runs in PHP or Node or what? It just doesn't bring any business value, right? So the initial phases, do not get invested into technology too deeply. Try see you are getting a right solution to your consumers. The consumer is able to use it. Consumer is able to perform their activities effectively. Okay, and make sure operationally the solution is controllable. I just take this ticketing example only. Like, you may want to see, okay, what is my available entry? How many tickets I booked, right? Okay, like that kind of a stuff, right? If people have problems, if they reported problems, what are they reported, right? These are the kind you should be able to see, not from a consumer standpoint, from an operational standpoint. So understand for operational control what levers you need. It's like, your gear and accelerator in your car and steering, right? You just need those things so that you can still steer through, right? That points you need to understand and plant them upfront. Otherwise, what happens is, consumers are ordering, but you have no way of looking at what they are ordering, right? Okay. Or like, what is the inventory there? I'm not able to see it, right? Or in very consumer intensive application, if consumer is facing an issue, you have no idea what they're facing, right? You'll be able to kind of, the consumer side of the business, you should see kind of a glass door. You are able to see what the consumer is doing. You should be able to get a good sense of the consumer's experience through tools, whatever you want to plant, right? Okay, whether monitoring, logging. I don't want to make this a technology talk, but see, these are the things one have to plan for. Okay, the stack, in any stack you go, today's modern stack, all of them supports everything. There is absolutely no problem in the stack what you're using. What you are doing with it is the only question. Okay. So once then the next phase, when you're moving into implementation, do not start coding first. If you have chosen an open source, stick with the open source, continue building on top of it. What it provides, what are the gaps, and you start building them. But if you have not chosen an open source for whatever reason, or there is no appropriate fit in your case, right? Okay. If you going to use a standard platform, try and use all the packages available. Meaning, see, in any platform you talk, authentication authorization is there, logging is there, monitoring is there. All these things, there are packages available. Just use the most popular package, okay? Not because of, I am a developer, I have used my last project, I use this package, I want to use it. Not that. Go look for what is in GitHub. When you are taking these packages, you see two things. How many downloads have happened? What is the most recent update they given? Meaning, are they current? If it is it was 2 years back, the last update was given 2 years back, right? A little problematic, relatively, right? Take the current packages, start operating with them, okay? All these things solves the standard problems what your developers will face. Again, if the developer is not comfortable with it, let them get comfortable with it, okay? There is all these things. Day one, it may be a little painful journey to get there. But what happens is, a month, 2, you will see suddenly the ramp, once it ramps up, it just the pace gets really quick. Okay. So there's an initial phase, you may have to go through it. Okay. And this is where probably one thing, makes a big difference between interns and experienced people. Okay. Interns, the life is a little more easier because they don't have, they have no memory of, having done something. They are all learning now. Right? It's much easier. It's a clean slate. You can guide them, right? Typically, see, I was an engineer myself. Okay, there are times I look back my own career, how many times I have shot down ideas just because of my own ego, right? As engineers, we all have ego. I think it's absolutely expected. It's nothing wrong. but you need to know what you are doing, right? Are you taking a business decision or you're taking a technical decision, right? But don't have your engineer ego come and interfere with your business decisions, right? Okay, I want to use what tool I have used in the past. I am comfortable with it. That's always my intuition says that, but it doesn't matter. The other tool is wrong, right? So what this makes is, but at the same time, while you're making a choice, have a good architect or a lead developer, not actually coding, but setting up the building blocks. Okay, this is where I think you need to really invest on good technical person. Okay, right? Most of them understand these things. Okay, so you set up the most meaningful, for example, authentication, authorization, logging, security, right? Monitoring, these pieces and all, you set it up. Okay, it's not no business coding at this point. Zero business code. There is no functionality or coding, but this is only the infrastructure code, right? This is something a strong technical person creates, and then you have one POC, two POC done by them, right? Where they show how the flow happens. Okay. By the time these interns comes, they just start learning, and it's basically now you are doing cookie cutting, right? Okay, I have done one functionality, right? Of course, now on the other side, I have a good right flow is set up, right? Meaning this is how the consumer experience is going to be, right? This is the starting point, this is the ending point, this is how the data flows, right? With this, you will have a strong data model built, right? What data I'm going to collect. Okay, I'm going to get inventory. What are the things will be in my inventory, right? I'm consumer is going to browse the inventory, what they will be browsing. Because if you already put the experience, it's obvious, right? What data has to be presented to the consumer. What do I need to see in my operations dashboard? Okay, not meaning some pieces of data is only for your operations dashboard, right? And when you make an order, meaning what you want to see, what the consumer should be seeing, right? What kind of a reporting you may want. So you have some of these thoughts already put with that, your data model becomes clearer, right? Because with the experience you already drawn, those entities can be drawn, and the data models can be set up. With that, it becomes reasonably simple. Okay, you are taking a flow. Okay, this is the screen. This is what the data I have to collect. This is what data I have to render, right? Your consumer experience translate into a backend APIs or whatever you're planning to build. Doesn't matter you have to build API. You can choose to make a backend methods however you want to do it, right? This all becomes straightforward and clearer from there. Okay, it's just that little bit guidance may be required for the interns initial days, but the thing is they will start following through. Okay, if you have done an open source, it's even more better because this framework is set up by themselves, right? You have to just follow the framework. For example, when we did that in Deep Thought Node VB, so the backend is all Node.js code, right? They have already written, everything is all structured, okay? Meaning if you have to add a new API, there is only one path to do it. So it's much more easier, right? I don't understand 20 different things. Okay, there is only one path. Okay, and front end is there is only two layers to write in the front end. Okay, there is a middleware piece, and then there is a templating piece. So the templating piece also the decision is made. Okay, they have to use a specific PHP based templating engine. Okay, so there is no choice. People have people have just learned that templating language. So what it made, right? Meaning two people learned first, 10 people learning, the next wave of people coming, it's much more easier for them to learn. They don't have to go through all this curve. They came, they just understood, okay, this is the new interns came, within a week, they started writing backend.
Concluding 2 minutes and move into the Q&A with some questions.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. So that is the nature, basically make modular and repeatable. Okay. So module makes your life easy, that, and repeatable, this is where, it doesn't matter. You are not investing on, not everyone needs to be senior enough, right? You have, some one or two, right? Basically, I would say, 15, 20% of your resource is someone who is actually guiding them. The rest of them are actually be able to follow the instruction and do it. And over time, they will kind of get, meaning they will also start getting better and better, right? They also know what they are doing, why they are doing. Okay. Meaning, since we spoke about like somebody getting high, like promoted as AVP, that's what happened to them. Okay, they didn't master Node VB day one, right? They kind of got there, and some point in time, they have mastered it. Okay, they become like acting like a senior leaders, senior developers now. So, so it's yes, like to summarize, your vision is super critical. What problem you are solving, how you want to solve it, and the journey. There is no excuse for not doing it, right? It doesn't matter what kind of a founder you are. This needs to be done. Okay. No documentation is needed, even like pen, paper, as long as you can articulate it, it is good enough. Okay. Then pick up an open source or pick up a technology and use the right packages upfront. Do not invest on what has been invented and people are using. 80% of the problem what we are solving in most startups are solving is already solved by somebody in basically not exactly the solution to your problem, but the thing is the underlying components have been already done by people. Okay, right? Use those packages, okay, effectively. Right? That this brings you like 50-60% of the infrastructure ready, right? Then you start laying out your components on top of it and start building them, right? Once you put this layout, then everyone kind of starts following the layout. Then the senior guys are actually like, the layout changes or adding one more new layout, right? This is what their jobs are going to be, right? Many people can be, there are more followers and, and probably limited time of leaders, right? That is the kind of a model where, you can actually, these interns can become an asset over time. And because the interns are going to learn, their intensity of learning is much, much quicker, faster, relative to, I can't take this as a meaning, generic statement, but most of the cases, right? Their intensity of learning is much, much higher. We can go with the questions then.
Yeah. So the first question is, what would be the security considerations?
Okay. So security considerations. So see, fundamentally, there are 4 levels of security you need to be worried about. Okay. One is the pure data. Okay. Which is basically like now I'm storing in some database. Okay. What happens, meaning how secure it is, right? Okay. One, fundamentally, like you basically encrypt data at rest. Okay, there is basically this is supported by, you go to any cloud platform and take a database today, it all comes. There is nothing you need to pay additionally for it. You have to just just enable a flag that secure, encrypt the data at rest. That's it. So you don't have one part of the problem is already solved. Okay. Second part of the problem is the data which is sensitive, meaning people's financial data or personal data, right? There are the compliances require you that you cannot, for example, people's health related data cannot be revealed. Okay. So the data in itself has to be encrypted. Okay. So for this also, if you're using cloud platforms or even otherwise, there are packages are available. Okay. Meaning, so what you do, it's like a simple lock and key. Okay. Right. Every you can go which level you want to do this. I'll just give the concept only. Right. It's like a lock and key. Okay. Whether you want to do for every person you want to give a lock and key so that they can lock their data and keep it. It's like you're keeping a locker, right? I can give one locker for every customer I have, or I can give one locker for every transaction happens. It's up to us. Okay. Or I can give one locker where all of my customer will put it. Okay. But that is a business level decision what to take. But still the concept is same. These tools are available today. Okay, like now public key, private key security is there. And I would rather strongly suggest do not use, meaning don't get into these things. The early days, go to any cloud provider, AWS, GCP, Azure, go any one of them. All of them has got key management systems. Just sign up for it. It's reasonably cheaper. Okay, use it. Once you scale, right, then the cost may become can potentially become prohibitive. That time you look at moving away and building that module. Okay, but initially, like, just use a cloud provider. It's super simple. That there are two commands on how to encrypt it. There are two commands on to decrypt it. That's it. It's such a simple thing. Okay, so this is the data encryption. Okay, the third is transport encryption. Okay, which again depends upon business to business. What kind of a thing. If you're doing B2B, right, you may have to do a certificate-based security, meaning two entities are talking. Okay, so the entities have to trust each other. Okay, you do certificate-based thing, or you can do public key, private key. That also will work there, right? And then. Or otherwise, basically, you think it is more like an API type access, you can have basically an access key based stuff. Okay. And then you go to the consumer side layer, which is typically you do a TLS. TLS 1.1, whatever, in SSL certificate, you put it, in authorized certificate, you put it. Generally, your problems are solved. Okay. And, you make sure your sessions are encrypted. Okay. Your sessions are having, there is a session token there, sessions expire. And again, you use anything standard, any of the standard front-end technologies you build, all these things are part of it. React, Angular, Vue.js, you take all of them and it's all part of the standard. You have to just use it. What happens, sometimes engineers get overly enthused and they'll start writing up their own. Okay, which avoid that, try and use all these things as plain and as vanilla as possible, go with it. Early days. Later, once you have got an experience, whether you are basically from explore phase to a scale up mode, right? When you're going to scale up mode, you can start making some of those things. Okay, I want to drop this thing, I want to build it now myself. Right, that is a scale up phase where you have already you have proven that you know your product is working. You can get your consumer base. All these things are done.
So can we now move into a more
sure.
So I think,
yes.
But before that, maybe we'd like to know the audience. So how many of you tech founders here and how many of you non-tech founders? Tech founders, okay, non-tech founders first. Okay, you come from which background?
Civil engineering.
Civil engineering. Okay. Okay, and rest of your tech founders? Okay, awesome. So
I'm also not a tech founder.
So,
Yeah, okay. Okay.
So, but before that, there's one question. In review, can you suggest a good inventory management software? I mean, they're asking for an open source code base for an inventory management software.
Huh?
Or maybe you could talk about how they do.
So we were evaluating one Python based one, no? Before, what is it? Before NodeBB.
Shawan, what was it?
It was Odo. Odo.
Odo is quite popular.
Okay.
And there is one more is that I can check and confirm, but Odo is quite good for that.
Okay.
Anything which is ERP, Odo is good.
Sounds good. So I'd love to take your questions. You've been hearing a lot of ideas.
Yes. So I'm basically a non-technical founder.
Sure.
So we have almost developed our product and we did MVP and everything. Right now we launched it in T-Hub 2.0.
Okay.
All the part-time developers are more than 3 to 7 years of experience.
Okay.
So if I hire someone from Deep Thought as an intern, second year interns or something, can they build the product? Can they code straight away after the job? After the onboarding?
Is the question audible then?
Did you guys?
Is the question audible?
I don't think it will be.
Okay, am I audible?
Is Tarun audible?
Okay, I'm audible, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so the question coming in from one of the participants here.
Shiva.
Shiva. Shiva. So one of the audience members here, Shiva, has a question. If I hire a second year engineering student who's just coming in and joining my startup, can he start contributing to the code right away? Did I get that right?
Yeah. So we will have to take them through a typical onboarding process, which is specific for each company. Okay, I'll just take one live case which is we are handling now. Okay, so with Vishkarma we have been they have hired interns. Okay, so they have been into now I think they are into the second week. Okay, so second week of onboarding process where meaning the senior developers are actually walking them through step by step how the product was, meaning make sure they understand the product, and then they are walking them through how each part of the product was built, how was it built, right? Whatever I spoke, a lot of these things, what are these pieces, right? How it was built, the philosophy behind why they have done what they have done, right? The next week, actually the third week, they are actually going to give live examples for them to actually go fix it in the code. Still, meaning they are not actually fixing the final product, but they are going to do it and show it, right? Then now this the senior developers will correct them, right? Help them, right? So it's about, you assume about 3 to 4 weeks before they really become coding into your product. Okay, because that kind of a space is needed. Some of them may be actually ready and early, maybe ready to do it, but I think I will not get that over enthusiastic and do it, because what you think they know, they may not know really how to do it. Okay, they may then suddenly they start putting their code, it will start do these deviations, then become some bigger challenge, right? Okay, you kind of help them to understand, monitor, and then let them loose. So I think 4 weeks is when I will see they are productive.
I have to take the next question. Or you have a follow-up question to that? The code quality, what kind of code quality can we expect? Okay, so the question was, what kind of code quality can we expect from interns / beginners?
So the code quality is, I would say, almost same as what your senior developer has actually built. Okay, it's basically it's garbage in, garbage out. If you have you have built a right quality, this is, see, they are going to follow what you have done is right. They're going to follow that. So if you put that right, they will do it. The output they produce will be it actually go one level better than what was originally written.
You have
I have a question.
I have a follow-up question.
Sure.
How do you ensure that it's not garbage in?
So garbage in is, so how do you ensure that? This is the toughest part, right? This is nothing to do with the interns now. This is basically one needs to audit this thing, right? I mean, assuming you are going to train the interns. Oh, it doesn't matter. Interns, or you hire a new employee, it doesn't matter, right? People are expected to follow what is there, right? Okay. Or else if they have to do new, let's talk about.
So if I were a non-tech founder, and if I'm hiring 4 beginners to build this, so what would be the mechanism which I can follow to ensure that the interns are able to do a good job?
Yeah. So, meaning, see, even if assuming you're a non-tech founder, but you have a technical lead, right? Someone has done this build out of the technology, right? Those are the ones actually taking your interns through this process. Okay. Now, one way of is we can do also, along with it, we can do an audit from deep thought side. Okay. Assume this was built earlier, and we can also do an audit as part of this transition process. Okay. And see if there are gaps, right? We can make suggestions, but that correction part will take whatever. If you find, right, there are 3 areas we need to make correction.
What is starting from scratch?
Starting from scratch is basically then we will guide them through, right? That we spoke about it already. That's the process of you You pick up the right tools and move with right. If you have a technical lead available on your side, it's fine. Otherwise, we can bring in. That is something we can help you with it.
So if I understood correctly, it's an open source code base.
Correct.
That itself sets this practice.
Correct. That is exactly what I'm saying. We will have a technical lead who can come and understand this thing. Okay. Understand your problem statement, your solution space, right? Make an appropriate suggestion of open source or a stack with appropriate packages and everything to put. They can set you on that platform, initial platform. That is something we can work out separately, right? The interns, meaning interns can contribute also, but eventually, this is a little bit more on building your core infrastructure first.
So Shiva, if you understood it correctly, you may not need a full-time senior developer.
Yeah.
If you have a senior developer who's coming in just to set up the basic templates and basic infrastructure, once that is laid out well, even an intern will deliver high quality code is what I got the part that Next question.
Hey, this is Raghuveer, founder of Alva Activities. Quick thing before I ask you a question. Can you elaborate what is deep thought offer? Unless I missed the introduction.
The session is not so much about deep thought, it's more about how you can build good tech teams. But deep thought is basically a human capital development company.
Okay, so you do offer staff augmentation.
Human capital development. What we are into mainly is train the team, impart right mindsets to them so that those guys are able to get into high value process. So it's more of training and talent management. Of course, we hire, but 90% of what we do is training the team and making sure that they're able to contribute to the organization.
And how would I absorb it? They continue to be their leadership on
So we act like an Upwork. So these guys come in as freelancers, and after the 6-month period is done, we can transfer them to your payroll in case you want to hire. But initially, we keep them with us. So most of our clients are startups. Okay. So we collect from startups and make sure their stipends are paid over.
Okay, so you put two intern to give us on a one is on a 10-year basis.
So again, the intention is not to discuss the dating model. I'm sure we can discuss that offline after this event. The intention here is to discuss how founders can build tech teams. Right? Because the other guys who joining us live, they're joining us live to understand how to build
building a tech team. I know you definitely give them the team, but they become the assets. So it is used. So that is the curiosity why I would
Deep thought is a character we wish to keep away from this. Otherwise my audience will keep promotion करने के लिए event. नहीं सेवा करने के लिए event कर रहे हैं. जब भी promotion event के बाद करिए.
Okay, not issue. Otherwise, on the technical part, put it on another question.
Okay.
Sure.
Hello.
So if anybody else has a question?
Hello.
I just have a question. You rightly said that.
You spelled Odo correctly. It's ODU.
Yes, you rightly said that to use some kind of packages to.
He had a question about Odo spelling. Yeah.
And there is a question coming.
There's a question about Odo's spelling. Can you send Shawan? Can you send Odo's spelling on YouTube, please?
Yeah, sending.
Okay, there's one question from Abhishek on YouTube. Any way to manage productivity and keep track of individual projects in the tech team? How do you manage productivity and keep track of individuals?
So I would strongly suggest that you use. So we didn't touch upon that point. When you start assigning work to people, start tracking them. It is not for time tracking and stuff. First thing is it's again a very important habit to form. That whatever work you are assigning to your interns or any developer, it doesn't matter. Break the work down, track them in whatever tools of your choice, Jira, ClickUp, Zoho, Freshdesk, whatever works for you, just doesn't matter. Or even Google Sheet works for you, fine, no problem. But please track it down, okay? It is not for them, it is for you. Because you know what is happening, what has been done, right? Who did it when, right? Because 2 weeks later, you will say like, I want to make a change here, right? You better know who did it, right? So that they can do it efficiently for you next time around, right? So it is very important to track the work, which is what are the work elements to be done, who is doing it, when they did it. And Jira and all up to 5 users is free, right? You don't have to spend money or use ClickUp. That comes for, I think ClickUp doesn't have a limit on number of users, but I think it has a limit on number of projects you can run. But yeah, probably like, meaning startups, we are not talking like 10 projects, right? Maybe 1 project, 2 project, right? And even if you have to pay, you are paying $3 per person a month, which is significantly lower. And there are many other tools also that I'm not favoring any specific tool, but but pick one tool and just stick to it and make sure that all of them are following it.
So I think I could not hear Himanshu, so I could not take the question.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, please go ahead with the question.
Just you told me that using packages would be speed up the development process. So most of the packages content code which is not being used, like it will make the app slow. What do you think about that?
See, look, it's a little bit of a situation thing, but it will not make the thing really slow. Okay, when you are using, you have to be careful that when you are doing in your Angular or React, the front end thing, you have to be a little bit careful. Your web packs may bloat, but even there are a lot of choices on how do we do it. Okay. You can do a lot of this lazy loading of these packages. You don't have to put all of them into upfront. And also, there are now React has come up with all these, web packs. You can control how big how big it can get to, right? It can break and make these things in smaller packets, right? So there are a lot of techniques and technologies are available to manage the situation. But again, this is where I would do componentization. Okay, meaning not everything needs to be seen as a monolithic. Your front end application doesn't have to be monolithic. There can be your front end app is made up of 4 different pieces. There are 4 different apps running, but meaning I don't have to remember URLs and stuff, but eventually that's how it is built and deployed. Okay, that makes things much more easier for you, right? And then meaning you don't have to deal with this too many bloating sizes, this kind of scenarios. Does it answer your question?
Yes, perfect. Thank you.
Okay, that answers this question.
Yeah, you did. You did.
Okay, so any other questions here? I mean, I'd like to ask the audience as well. I mean, the intention here is that even a non-tech founder, right? We'd like to give confidence to non-tech founders that you can build a very good team. And we'd like to give confidence to non-tech founders also that you can build a very good team. So, Mr. Anand, I just ask a very straightforward question here. And I hope while I ask this question, I ask this on behalf of many non-tech founders out there. So, Mr. Anand, if I'm a middle class non-tech founder who doesn't have so much of capital, but who's very passionate and I have a very good idea. And all I can afford is a few, interns to, come in and contribute in my team. So how practical is it for me to, launch a product of good quality? So without any technical jargon, you can answer.
Okay.
I'm asking on behalf of non-tech founders who with, high ambition.
Right. Sure. See, end of the day, I was talking about this earlier, primary thing is, the problem space and solution space, right? You have
to. The non-tech founders are resonating.
Right? That is something you should absolutely need to be thorough with it, right? There is no, meaning there is no replacement for it. Okay, technology will not solve the problem. Don't let your tech to take over that. That is where I have personally seen founders are basically feeling the pinch later that meaning they are the one who came with the idea. They have all their thoughts in this thing, but they assume a tech person will take their vision into your product. Tech person You have to have the vision. You need to be sure what you want to build, and also go 2 more level deeper than that. Okay. In terms of identifying what are the interactions really, right? Okay. See, most of you all understand. Somebody asks like, now how do I manage inventory? To me, it is you already know the business, right? Inventory is a business element. Okay, what in inventory is made up of? Okay, what are the requests can come to in inventory? What are the operations can happen on inventory? You don't need technology, right? You can just write these details today. Okay, and actually coding is nothing but converting them as like meaning.
I think I'm afraid we are
What
not
data
able to hear
interaction?
him.
Not able to hear me?
I think momentarily we lost you, sir.
Sorry, like, so I'll repeat it, like, no. So what I was saying is, once you have like, no, meaning understood your solution space, articulate your solution space, also go to the next level of what are the data I need to capture and manage. Okay. And kind of separate them out. Okay. I have a customer, I have an order, I have an inventory, I have a product, right? This is nothing, no technology is needed. Right, you have every one of us, right? If you are going to like think for a solution, we all have these things in our mind. You can just put that and just talk about what are my data points under each of them, what operations I wanted to do, right? What interactions are likely to happen, and who is going to do it. No technology, and this is what translates eventually into interaction.
So if I'm a non-tech founder and you give me this framework, data, interactions, and so on. So let's say we give a framework to the founder to fill in our
right, yeah.
The founder is able to fill it well. And all I have is 4 interns with me. And maybe as per your suggestion, I get one consultant who will work with me for 2 months to set up the infrastructure.
Right.
So is that good enough for me to build my technology?
Absolutely. Like, so all your interactions are eventually like mapped to your front end.
Okay, so I ask one more question on behalf of the non-tech founders there. So if all I have is a budget of say 3 to 4 lakhs, and I have about 4 months, 5 months, I have interns and I have one consultant who do part-time. So in that budget, can I release my product if I'm clear about my business goals?
Yes, you can.
So non-tech founders, I hope that's audible. So you guys can come in with your follow-up questions. So money is never the deterrent for you to launch a product and do your basic validation. I repeat once again what Mr. Anand has been stressing multiple times in today's interaction. What Mr. Anand has been stressing multiple times in today's interaction is technology is an enabler.
Yep.
But you as a founder, you have to understand your business outcomes, focus on the business outcomes. So money won't be a problem, tech won't be a problem, as long as you are very clear about what is your business and you are very clear about what role you want technology to play in your business. If you know your business really well, and if you know what role technology has to play in your business, you're clear about these two, money is not a problem, technology is not a problem, is what Mr. Anand is saying. Yeah. So you have some questions, we're happy to take it.
Yeah. See, 80% of what every new business does, right? If you look at a technology through the technology prism, 80% of them is available through open source or packages or whatever. Problems are solved, right? Only 20% you are going to do it. But getting to that level is where, it's people tend, here is where the problem, people tend to start developing too early. They think like, I have an idea, I want to basically start building. Don't try to build too early. Make sure you got to this level of detail. This is not like people say it's a waterfall model. It's not a waterfall model. You get your thoughts to a level where you are comfortable that this is what I want to go to my customer with. Okay, this is what solves my customer problem. That comfort you should have as a founder. You should have. If you don't have that, then actually no build out of a product will succeed. You just keep changing. Okay, and there is also one fallacy people have agile. Agile is not about you can keep changing the product. It is not intended for that. It is actually incrementally keep building. Okay, I have this bigger goal, but I want to start here and keep adding, right? It's not that, I can do today and tomorrow I can change it. It is not intended for that. Okay, feedback is coming, you can incorporate the feedback, but it is not a replacement for my inability to think, or I didn't think about this, right? Or I didn't take my two of my partner's opinion, right? It is not meant to solve those kind of problems.
So again, just trying to paraphrase this for non-tech founders. So if I understood you correctly, so what you're saying is 80% of what you need to code already exists.
Already exists.
You just need an honest.
Again, I'm afraid we are not able to hear.
And point two, you mentioned that the project management has to be done properly.
Right. Yeah.
What is agile? Through spirit, you want the founder to spend some time learning.
Correct.
So that they don't take everyone in the wrong direction.
Yes. Agile is not meant for correcting your mistakes. It's basically Agile is about your learning about your customer, and you are taking their feedback and building on it, or whatever you kept it chosen to keep it for a later phase.
Mr. Anand, if I got your warning right, your warning for all founders is don't start coding until you're ready.
Until you're ready. Do
if
not
you start coding when you're not ready, there'll be a lot of problems in your project later.
Absolutely.
And Agile is not meant for you correcting yourself on the job.
Right.
You make your system very clear. Once you're clear about the plan, then incrementally your developers are going to get there.
Correct. Yeah.
So make your plans clearly and only then go into development. You'll save money for this.
Absolutely.
Great. So I have one question coming in from YouTube. So there is a person who's a partner in a construction company. So she wants to build a software. Can she just get it done with interns with your guidance?
Yeah, yes. We just spoke about it. It can be done.
Yeah. So I'd like to again paraphrase it for non-tech founders. As long as you are very, very clear about your business vision and you're very clear about what role technology is going to play in getting your business vision implemented, the tech piece is not very tough as long as you have an honest tech advisor who's able to lay out the most efficient and shortest mechanism to get there. A lot of tech people scare you, just like how CS scare you in the name of compliance. So people scare you, or doctors scare you for business. Some people scare you, but I think if you get some honest advice, with beginners alone, you should be able to get a lot of things done. And little earlier, Mr. Anand spoke about the advantages when you do it with interns.
Yeah.
Right? If you can play this video once again and watch it, I know there's a lot of technical terms thrown. I know there's a lot of concepts thrown at once. But if you just go through this video a little slowly, you'll understand a lot of benefits that interns bring in. And you don't have to be spending too much money doing this. So there's one more question coming in Zoom chat. I think we just saw it. So what kind of training would you want to provide to interns so that they do this well, Mr. Anand? What kind of training do you think the interns would require?
See, the interns are from a deep thought perspective, they're already gone through a hiring process, which itself is very rigorous, right? So they have already they are skilled to do programming. Okay. What you need to train them? You need to train them on the specific open source and the platform of your choice, right? Whatever your technical advisor has identified. That is one. Evangelize the product enough for them. Do not, when you do this product knowledge to them, do not push everything in one go. I will do no training session is effective beyond 15 minutes. Do it in 15-minute capsules.
I'm sure founders need that.
Any session, keep it 10-15 minutes is max. Do not push beyond it, right? Beyond it, people may understand, but they may not be able to recollect, right? You may want them to recollect at a later date, and they may not be able to recollect. Keep it 10 minutes, 15 minutes, give them time to absorb it, right? And also do some form of, exercise, a joint exercise together, not like a school, college thing, go do an assignment type thing. Try to do a joint exercise where they can converse and collaborate with you with what they have understood. Okay. So the other thing is the culture creation, okay? Meaning allowing these interns, it doesn't matter interns, I'm saying employees, right? Allowing a culture where your employees are understanding the value you are offering to your customer. Not this screen is like that screen is like that. That's not the point. What is the value you are offering, right? What is the end value your consumer is going to realize? What are the operational challenges in your business you are solving? These are the things you need to do it and do this. Repeat this probably in the initial days. I would repeat every week once. Some of the key points I will repeat, particularly with my interns. Every week I will give this 10-minute, 15-minute capsule where I kind of keep reminding them because it needs to resonate in their heads so thoroughly that they get glued to that upfront. Okay, end of the day, most people can produce good code, but these understandings, not many people have it.
So, Mr. Anand, if I got you correctly, you said it's important to hire interns to come in with the right attitude and with some programming sense.
Right.
And such people are available in abundance.
Correct.
And if I may add, would it be sensible to hire interns who learn without paying for the course? Because there are people who pick up free courses and learn from free courses.
Yeah, so how they learned is one thing. More importantly, people who have played with it, understood it, right? More importantly, that's the key. It's see, today's world, many code is available through Google.
I was just seeing this observation, right? Most of the folks I hired in TechTeam did not pay for programming courses.
Yeah.
They found the jugaad. Shawan, am I right? Did you pay for programming courses? Or you did?
No, I didn't.
You didn't pay. Shubham Bhattacharya didn't pay. He learned already React. I think by the time he joined us, he knew React, he knew Node, he knew Python.
Yeah.
He just explored by himself. So I think one hack is don't hire a guy who's paid for paying.
Yeah,
that's an indication that the person is a self-learner.
Right, yeah. Meaning self-learners are definitely a much more, meaning their ability to pick up and follow through is much, much higher relative to, it's not like, meaning the people who learn through courses are not good enough, but they need to experiment and have done their own stuff and understood things on top of it.
Mr. Ali, I saw this as a pattern. We hired a few people who learned code with Harry and came with us. Couldn't survive the rigor of open source code.
Yeah, that will be the case because they just learned what was taught, right? They remain bookish, right? It doesn't matter you pick how you pick it, right? If you are just copying the code and running the code on your thing, it just doesn't help. People
so point one is to hire self-learners.
Right.
Point two, which you mentioned, is evangelize the product.
Correct. Evangelize.
Make your interns fall in love with the product.
Yeah.
Make them see how it's going to change lives of people. Get them married to the product. And the third thing which you mentioned is not to overtrain them.
Yeah.
Let them figure out it.
Correct. In capsules. So it's a kind of this is where it a little bit can get a little challenging, right? You have to give in small capsules. You may have to repeat it, but you also have to have them do work while doing an implementation of a work. You also have to be careful that from a technical standpoint, you have to tell them as much for them to do the work to start with. While they're doing early phases, trying to tell too many things, they just get confused, right? There are too many interactions, suddenly, though the work is so small, right? But the interactions makes them, go crazy, right? So if you get them to do small tasks effectively, it kind of builds the motivation in them, right? They see the results, right? When they see meaning, it's a pure joy for any developer that, when what they built is working, right? Give them that joy early days, right? Give them enough of that joy, right? That way they get glued to it, right? Then introduce them to the tougher problems, right? You can talk about tougher problems, trying to train them, but suddenly they get to feel that oh, maybe I'm not doing enough, right? Maybe I'm missing something. But initial days give them joy, pure joy of their stuff is working. I have worked 33 years. Even today, if the work what I did is getting launched, that's a pure bliss. There is nothing can replace it. Even today, it's a bliss.
So I'm sure that was a very insightful discussion, and I'm sure it was a little bit of an overload also for some of the founders. But since this is live on YouTube, you can go over it again. There are a lot of amazing points which Mr. Anand said, in case you skip, like those little Easter eggs, right, which you miss out, and like a Christopher Nolan movie. You got to watch it
Can I
3-4
have a
times and then
question?
you pick them up. Like
I have.
the early joy you give interns is important. Is one which you just mentioned.
I think there is somebody is trying to ask a question.
Yeah, this is
Just
Tufail
about
Ahmed.
to conclude because I think
Somebody is trying to ask a question.
oh,
Yeah, go ahead, Tufail.
I'm from Rozgar Card team. Okay, I'm the
Okay.
CTO. I am supposed to build a tech team for the development of the platform. So we are basically into blue collar recruitment.
Okay.
Okay, we have started our operations. We are managing through Excel and other small chunks of software to do our operational work. But majorly, we have to develop a product wherein we attract we attract people to the site and show them what are the offerings we have, and also give a solution to the clients who can easily pick and choose the candidates. Okay, this is the platform that we want to build. We were searching for a lot of people because we had an idea to build it on no code. We explored a lot of the no code platforms, and finally we zeroed down to one of the vendor who is ready to give the service. So he was asking that he cannot build a product or he cannot do service work for us. He's a product. He has a product and he is ready to give the assistance in product this thing. But we are not finding the resources who are trained in no code. Or it's very easy actually. If you give even 1 week or 2 week times, they will pick up. But the basic thing is they should know about what is about the software life cycle development, and also the knowledge of API database and all those things. If they have that basic knowledge, we can start building on that. So and no code is so easy that you can build a product within say 2 months or even 3 months. You can completely come out with the product. So we found it very difficult. People doesn't understand what is no code first. And if you go and tell them this is the thing, then traditionally people are inclined to software engineering as coding, and they don't come to this sphere at all. So we face challenges in this.
Okay, all right. So I think the question is basically like, Tufail is from Grosscart. So they are already started their operations. Okay, they are managing through Excel sheet and all those in their operations today. And they have identified no code as a platform to build their product. So his challenge is he's trying to recruit people who can come and do this work. The two challenges he is facing is not meaning you don't find people who knows no code today. And two is basically people are not also kind of willing to learn because there is a feeling that is a no code literally means no code. Okay, you don't write code. Okay, so a typical software engineer is even not willing to learn it because they feel it is not the right thing for them.
I'd love to take the second piece. You can take the first piece.
Yeah, sure. Okay, yeah.
You can go first with the first piece. I'll go with the second piece.
Yeah. So in my mind, this is essentially meaning. This is probably this is a very clear, simpler case. You can actually should. Meaning, if software engineers are scared that there is nothing to write, meaning 15 years back, if you offered me this thing, I would have said no also as well. Meaning to build a platform which I have to only do some basic configuration and stuff like that. That is all I have to do. I would have said no because that doesn't interest me, right? It's a case for most of us. But I think the key I would in my mind is you need to find out. So you have identified no code, but how have you identified how to use it, right? What modules you want to build it, what are the interaction patterns you want to solve, right? I think that's more important. And given it is not much to be done, I'm even questioning why do you need people to do it?
So I'll take the second piece. I think your JD needs some rework. So if you get your JD right, what you're looking for is a product manager. You're not looking for a software
configurator.
So why would somebody want to take up this role? Because the person would see growth as a product manager. And you'll see no code getting popular with time, right? I mean, today a lot of no code platforms are coming up. So probably 15 years down the line, the software engineers will not be as valuable as product managers is a theory that I have. Only time will tell whether this theory is right or not. Because I think going forward, a lot of POCs will be done on no-code platforms, right? So a McKinsey founder or a consulting background founder who doesn't know tech may just launch the MVP within a few days on a no-code platform, take it to the market, do the market validation, and only after getting some scale would they probably want to bring in a mentor like Mr. Anand who will initially understand what has happened and then do the tech. So the future belongs to product managers. And today you see, I mean, on LinkedIn or any of the recruitment platforms, I think if you post a product management job, especially if you post an APM job, right? So APM jobs are in huge demand today. A lot of people will apply to it. So the problem is less about how will people come to you. It's more about how you screen and find the best ones who are suitable for your company. So I think it's a problem of JD, right? You're going after the wrong people. You get the right people, they'll be interested in it, especially product managers will be interested in it. And as far as the first part is concerned, training them is, as Mr. Anand said, figure out how it has to be done. Once you know how it has to be done, you yourself can train these product managers how it has to be done. So the problem is not about how you configure the platform. The problem is more in terms of understanding your business goals and being able to solve that problem. So problem solvers would love their job. And that's exactly why people would go into product management, right? Because they enjoy solving problems. So I hope this answers your question.
Well, does that answer your question? Yeah.
Yes.
So before we conclude, we have two of our colleagues, Shawan and Shagun. So Shawan joined us as an intern in 2021, and today he heads the tech team at Deep Thought. And Shagun joined us in April, and she was a humble beginner when she joined us. And today she heads the data engineering team at Deep Thought. These are two examples of quote-unquote interns who are today leading 30-member engineering team, one on the data front, one on the tech front. So we're already running a little delayed, but Shawan and Shagun, if you can take a quick minute to talk about your experience and would you want to tell founders what interns are capable of? Because it's not just that you started your journey as an intern, but you've led a lot of interns. You've seen so many interns grow very fast, right? So what is your advice to non-tech founders? 60 seconds to both of you.
So yeah, I would like to go in. So I mean, if I talk about interns, right? Me myself was an intern back when I joined. So even I had no prior knowledge of what stack I'm going to work on. But the main thing that I have learned while during this journey was I was always curious about things. Okay, so if we could enlighten that curiousness part, right, in the interns, if we could show them the bigger picture on what they're working on, and if we give them a little guidance, right, then I think that's I could hear echoes. Okay, so I think that's the very important thing that every intern needs, right? Because interns, when they join, they're usually scared. They have very much questions going on in their mind that will I be able to contribute? So I think giving them that safe place, the secure environment, and giving them the right tools how to move forward, I think that plays an important role. And if I tell you about tech, right? So if you already have a foundation or someone to guide, I think you can follow the footprints and like move faster. Yeah. So that's my experience.
Thank you, Shawan. Over to you, Shawan.
Yeah. So bringing a foundation, and as Shawan told, if you already have your basic foundation. So when I started as a tech person, I don't know much about coding and on which stack, and even I don't know about front end and back end thing. But I just have this basic foundation, and I was a college student who just started my journey as an intern in Deep Thought. So if you know basic data structure and algorithm, and you know how to structureize your thought, you can build a great product. And first thing that I did was creating lots of user flow in Excel sheet and understanding the product that I'm going to work on. That is most important if you really want to train your interns.
Okay.
And
that's it
also,
from this session.
Can I add one line?
Useful, and in case you have more questions, feel free to join our WhatsApp learning community, and you can always keep sending in your questions to us through the WhatsApp learning community. And thanks a lot for patiently
I have
bearing with us for this
last comment.
session. It's went.
Shawan wants to say somebody has a comment.
Last comment.
Go ahead.
I just want to know how to get touch with Deep Thought and how to hire people from your side, because we are looking forward to hire people.
Okay.
In tech side.
So may I know who is this speaking?
This is Tufail Ahmed from Rozgar Card.
Okay. Tufail from Rozgar Card. Okay. So Tufail wants to know like how to get in touch with Deep Thought.
So Tufail, you can leave your contact number in the chat here. You can send a private message to Shawan. We'll get in touch with you. You can leave a private message to Shawan. We'll get in touch with you.
Okay.
Sandhya, you can leave my WhatsApp number on the YouTube live as well, in case somebody wants to get in touch with us. Yeah. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Sandhya, can you enter live, please?
I don't have one. I will.
Can I have your number?
Yeah.